It is Thursday, October the 21st, 2021 at 9:33 a.m. here locally in coastal Oregon. This is the OneHiraethProject's DiaryCast number 10, entitled Kintsugi. Now, Kintsugi is a Japanese word that means literally golden repair or golden reassembly. It's the artistic process of taking something broken, typically a bowl, and filling the cracks with a solution that is encrusted with gold, silvers, or other metals. And the end result is beautiful. It has a significance of meaning. Instead of being disgusted by the fact that something is broken and throwing it away, see it as part of its evolution and rejoice in it by filling it with something beautiful and just looking at that crack as part of its history. And I loved that. That word came to me this week, which is the foundation of everything that followed. This last week has been one of traveling. I have gone from southern Arizona, about 20 miles north of the border of Mexico, to the pure essence of coastal living in southern Oregon, about 2.5 miles from the coastline, and the weather spot on what one would expect in a truly coastal community. The thing is, it didn't occur to me that the weather that is native here is the weather that I would have. It's mostly rainy, but it's an interesting kind of rain. In a way, it reminds me of Florida in that it will rain and then stop, and then the sun will come out, and then just as quickly the weather will change. And give it 30 minutes and the weather will change again and again. But there's lots of wind and a consistent flow of moisture. Let's put it that way. What makes that consistent flow of moisture so talk-worthy is that being in southern Arizona for 5 months, and it not being my first time there, my first go-round, I've been there many times during the hottest part of the year so that I can enjoy the monsoon season, which is anywhere from June through August, depending on the season and so many other factors. But it's very dry, and I noticed how wrinkly my skin had appeared, especially on my arms, just because they're always they're always there, and I'm looking at them while I'm typing or doing whatever. And not that it was off-putting, but it was observable. And within 24 hours of arrival in this part of the country, I arrived on Monday late afternoon and then stayed in Coos Bay, which is also North Bend, Oregon, for not quite 24 hours before I caught a bus to go further south to my final destination. And I noticed while I was still in Coos Bay that my skin wasn't wrinkled like that anymore. Nowhere. Of course, I'm 62, so I have my, I don't want to say fair share. I have the expected amount of wrinkling for a person my age, and maybe not quite as much as most people, because I keep being told all the time that I look younger than I am. But it was such a significant change. It was observable, instantaneously observable. So how interesting is that purely the moisture in the air, or possibly even the elevation of where we are, other environmental conditions, there's a healing here. It's a nice balance to that southern Arizona conditioning. And they each have their benefit, and clearly they each have their detriment. And I was led here, I believe, to offer me that healing of my physicality, because it never even occurred to me that that could happen. This journey took from Friday the 15th through Tuesday the 19th, from departing one location to actually arriving at the other. And then I needed a couple of days until present to actually acclimate. It feels completely different. And it's extremely tuned in. I have a faster internet connection than I've had in quite some time for uploading, because I do upload a lot of things to my G Drive, my Google Drive as an archive, or to YouTube like I will this video. And in the last 2.5 years, most of it has actually been quite respectable, but reserved. And now it's really fast and unexpected, being that I'm way out here in the middle of nowhere with one local market, and that's pretty much it. But it's clear to me that each step along this journey was pointing at things synchronistically to help guide me as to what is coming next. And I only have a concept. And the concept is I'm being introduced to another dimension or peak of reality. A peak of reality that isn't one that has come into my purview yet, that is deeply frequential, but born of nature, of the elements, and not of man. And I have many reasons to feel that way, but I'm going to just stay focused on one small example. And that is a painting that I ran across while I was at a coffee shop. I think it's called the Grounds Café. I'd have to look it up. But it is in Coos Bay at the back of a bookstore, kind of like Barnes & Noble used to have it set up, or what was it? Yeah, I think it was Barnes & Noble, or Starbucks, where you could, get coffee in one part of the bookstore and be surrounded by the books. But it wasn't, any of those big names. It was just the local Bayside coffee shop. And in that coffee shop, I used some time, because I had to fill time between checking out at the hotel where I was and the departure of my bus going further south that day. And I had a lot of work to do for one of my clients, so I was told by the owner of the hotel where I was staying of this great place to go where I could actually, be on the internet. And he was a cool guy. He was his own flavor, I'm telling you. What an interesting character. Admittedly OCD to, to a high degree. And proud of it, or, at least completely accepting of it. And he was the one that told me about this place. So when I went there and spent a few hours working, I was doing creations in Photoshop and setting up broadcasts to be blasted out to about 50,000 people. Ooh, interesting. There is a church across the street. I'm not sure the denomination, some type of Christian church, and they just rang their bells. So that's interesting. But my point, being there for a few hours, doing a lot of creative things, I felt I was being watched, not closely, but just out of curiosity, because I'm sure all the locals know each other, and here's this non-local. And when I got up to leave, I noticed that there were paintings sitting along the edge of the window along one side of the cafe. And I just, glanced at them quickly as I was turning to carry my tray with my plate, because I'd had an egg and cheese sandwich on, what kind of bread was that? On this really cool and quirky kind of bread. It was like sourdough, but different. And when I got up to leave, I did this glance across all of them very quickly, and I landed on the last one, and from the distance that I was, and not having my glasses on, I saw more of its shape and color than I did its definition. And a woman was sitting in front of it, and it was the only one without a price tag, so I wasn't even sure it was for sale, and I didn't want to disturb her breakfast, so I went up to the counter and asked them about it, and they went over and got it and brought it to me. And I was shocked how eerily similar, yet distinctly different this was from another painting that it was reminding me of.